Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold is fundraising off of her call to boycott Alabama for its abortion ban. Fundraising off that boycott announcement edited for her by the political director of Planned Parenthood. It got politics guy Marshall Zellinger wondering why running Colorado's elections should be a partisan position.
When Planned Parenthood helped edit this news release for Democratic Secretary of State Jena Griswold, the organization suggested a change because it would poll better. They also recommended taking out a sentence that seemed unnecessary. This news release from Griswold announced she would not send employees to training in Alabama after that state passed a strict abortion ban. 2 days later, her campaign sent out an email with ways you could help women in states with strict abortion bans, as well as a link to donate to Jena for Colorado. Her campaign told me today that the email with the donate button is not a fundraising email, but a standard template on all campaign emails. So why do we elect a Secretary of State based on candidates with party affiliations? The state constitution does not specify party affiliation, but Paul Teske, the dean of CU Denver's School of Public Affairs, tells me we do it because of the Constitution.
Pretty much everything we elect at the state level in Colorado is, rightly or wrongly, partisan. Including the CU Board of Regents, including the state K-12 Board of Education.
34 other states elect the Secretary of State just like Colorado, by choosing between candidates with a party affiliation. The governor appoints the Secretary of State in those 9 blue states. In the 3 red states, they're appointed by the state legislature. In Utah, it's the lieutenant governor. In Alaska and Hawaii, the job is appointed in a different way.
It's also worth noting, I think, that while the Secretary of State's in charge of elections and other things like business registrations at the state level, the county clerks are typically the ones who carry out the day-to-day election stuff.
And I don't want that to get lost in all this. The Secretary of State doesn't do the counting, but certifies that the county clerks doing the counting and that their elections were done on the up and up. So the counting of who wins and who loses, that's done at the local level.
And as for Secretary of State Griswold herself and trying to learn more about how she views partisanship in her job, we've been trying to get in touch with her. We've been trying to ask questions. At this point, she basically has just reiterated her political position as it relates to reproductive rights.
Right, and I've been reaching out every day since before we even put the story on in the first place on Wednesday. I'll keep reaching out starting next week again. We just want to hear like a better reasoning. As again, this is not about the content. It's about why did you do it and why did you make the change based on their recommendations.
Yep, partisanship in that office was a big topic during the campaign, so it's not a surprise that it's a topic of discussion now. Thank you, Marshall. Colorado's entire congressional delegation agrees on something. Note the date and time, huh? Both our senators and all 7 reps signed onto a letter trying to make insurance cheaper in our state. Reinsurance is complicated business, hence this chart will really explain nothing to you. The 5-second version is that Colorado needs federal approval to change the way that insurance companies are paid for high claims, and in return, the state hopes that insurance companies will lower premiums for everybody. And that is the cause that got all 9 John Hancocks, people who cannot agree on the color of the sky, to sign on to a joint letter asking for permission from the Trump administration. Democratic presidential candidates are fundraising now to help a man keep his job at the Colorado State Capitol. Democratic Representative Tom Sullivan is facing a recall election. So today, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders tweeted support and a fundraising link to help fight Sullivan's recall. Former Governor John Hickenlooper piggybacked on Bernie. Sullivan's facing a recall by a gun rights group for doing exactly what Sullivan promised he would do when he was campaigning: pass a red flag gun control law in memory of his son Alex, who was killed in the Aurora Theater shooting. It is rare in Colorado to recall legislators for doing precisely what they promised to do, but the Rocky Mountain gun owners' motto this year seems to be, if you can't beat them, recall them. The community surrounding STEM school Highlands Ranch is determined to offer that school sustained support following the shooting there. A woman in the neighborhood, Suzanne Wolf, has a nonprofit background. She's using it to start a series of fundraisers backed by businesses. She told our Nelson Garcia she's hoping that they'll become annual events.
What else do we need? How's that working? And we can keep reevaluating, because Nelson, I think that's the part where we're falling down, is that we're not reevaluating with each milestone.
Wolf is hoping to expand beyond 3 reoccurring fundraisers. First event is at a restaurant in Inglewood on Sunday. Details in this article and on 9news.com. Remember that time Adams County lost a whole truckload full of ballots? It was hilarious, unless, of course, you were one of the voters who wanted to vote. And then your ballot didn't arrive, so that was an impediment, right? And then the county couldn't find it for days on end. Well, today, all these months later, Adams County released a third-party audit of just what happened last year. It blames the ballot vendor, which promised improvements, and it blames the Postal Service, which essentially gave auditors the middle finger. The audit confirmed that a Postal Service worker turned away a semi-trailer full of ballots from a facility in Henderson, reason unknown, but the Postal Service would not allow auditors to interview that employee or to see the Postal Service's own report. But then there was the ballot vendor. They failed to notify Adams County that those ballots had been turned away. The truck was just sitting in a trucking lot for days. Adams County didn't realize until voters complained about missing ballots. The vendor has since changed its procedures, and the Postal Service told us it'll review the report. The town of Erie is getting squeezed from the left and the right by political leaders who want that town to ease up on its regulations against political events on town property. Democratic State Rep Matt Gray and Republican State Rep Lori Sain say they've had joint town halls on town property and they want other political groups to have similar access. Erie got blasted by critics online for denying space to a Republican women's group because they plan to gather petition signatures at their meeting at the community center, petition signature gathering against Erie's rules. The town is promising a full review of its political restrictions on space rentals at a meeting next week. I am thinking that more than a few Coloradans are going to go fishing over the long weekend, and some people in northern Colorado might catch fish and chips. Next, told you about Parks and Wildlife microchipping fish in Watson Lake in the Poudre River. Those fish are getting tracked like parolees to see if they can learn how to use the new fish ramp that's been built to bypass a dam. Which leads us to our next question from a viewer named Robin Ann. What do I do if I catch a fish with a chip? Do I send the chip to the Division of Wildlife? That is a great question. We took it to Parks and Wildlife. Now, first off, you will know that you have come across fish and chips if one of the fish's fins is cut off. Now, if you catch and release, you just let that microchip little sucker swim away and you're all set. If he's a snack, you can mail the microchip back to the CPW office in Fort Collins. Address is on your screen and in this article on 9news.com. Whatever you do, don't eat the chip, because it'll track you, at least until nature calls. People actually going to mail the chips in? That'd be wild if they do. Hey, snow-covered pool 1 week before opening day. Yeah, that was the most Colorado thing we saw on Wednesday. We learned today that snow is not going to stop the H2O Bryan Pool, love the name, from opening this weekend. Temperatures warm enough for swimming at this point, so Parker Parks and Rec is going to let people dive in tomorrow, right on schedule. It's been a while since we played one of our favorite games here on Next. For tonight's What Do You Say? We're talking about a small town up in Grand County, sits between Fraser and Granby, starts with the letter T. Our viewer Heather was hoping that we could settle a debate on the pronunciation. So we asked the fine people at Cousins Ranch Museum, what do you say?
Tabernash. There's a pretty contentious history between the Ute people and the settlers who came into this area. The town itself was named after a Ute man who was killed there in 1878. They buried him in that general area where the town of Tabernash is today.
A while back, the Historical Association went excavating in that area looking for Tabernash's grave. They didn't find anything, so the mystery remains. All right, send us in search of another proper place name pronunciation somewhere in our state. It could be a river, or a street, or a town, or a mountain, or anything. Email suggestions to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Welcome to a school with only 4 graduating seniors. And it's not the smallest graduating class in Colorado. We called up that district.
Oh my goodness. So this is totally a dream come true. We weren't really expecting to have a senior, you know?
We went all the way to the Western Slope for your good news. Hey, let's everybody get out and explore this weekend, especially since summer break no longer feels like winter. Next. The most Colorado thing we've seen today is a summer break that's starting off a lot like winter. A Next viewer named Valcana shared a photo of her son's last day of school in Georgetown. That was not it. They were not in the pool. This appears to be the video that we just showed you of the pool down in Parker. Do we have the photo of the last day of school? Well, that is a shame, is it not? The kids were bundled up as if it was the middle of winter. A lovely scene which we'll now picture together in our heads.
And here's a beautiful live picture of the Continental Divide snow-capped peaks and some beautiful cumulus clouds out there. In Denver today, finally the much advertised warming trend. Sunshine and 70s today. It only gets warmer heading into the weekends. Matter of fact, we'll be at that average tomorrow. We're tracking a little bit of a change off to the west of us. A few showers in the northern mountains. Severe storms in the Midwest for the holiday weekend and record heat in the southeast. We will enjoy a quiet, mild evening, a warm day tomorrow, and there may be a couple of strong storms that kind of flirt with the southeastern border late in the afternoon. There are no advisories for travel. As a matter of fact, with fair skies and light winds, temperatures will be very comfortable tonight, tomorrow, and right into Monday. So let's break it down. 42 tonight with a few clouds around, a dry evening, 74 tomorrow, close to 80 on Sunday. Put a thunderstorm in Monday afternoon, so time the outdoor plans and barbecue appropriately. Tuesday's the rainy day and cooler with temperatures in the 50s and then mid-60s on Wednesday. Again, that weekend forecast, very important in detail. Kyle, Sunday's high 78 and Saturday's highs 74.
I want to go back to that pool that we've seen 4 times now. Thank you,
Yes,
Kathy.
let's.
You don't hear complaints about class size from parents in Fleming, where the senior class is composed of 4 graduates. Next viewer, B. McGrath, tweeted a photo of their local paper honoring what they called the small but mighty class of Fleming High. Congratulations to Garrett Cockcroft, Brooke Sigmund, Jenna Langfelder, and Emma Seggy. Had time for everybody's name. So B sent that to us and asked, is that the smallest graduating class in Colorado? As it turns out, it is not. There's a district on the Eastern Plains with 1 student graduating tomorrow. That would be an agate. 1 young man, the sole senior in his graduating class, Brian Cordova Munoz, the first senior to graduate from agate school since 2011. The district only has the 1 school. It almost closed last year. It had grades K through 5 with 3 students. This school year, they opened it up K through 12, and they got all the way to 12. Having a graduating class of 1, it's a big deal.
We weren't really expecting to have a senior, you know. Being able to get a senior to come to our school when they've been somewhere else for so long is really something we feel wonderful about. We feel that the senior trusted us and believed in us and his education, and being able to watch him go off has been the greatest gift ever.
Oh, isn't that cool? They love it so much. So the whole community's been invited out to Brian's graduation tomorrow in agate, all for him. He's going on to Metro State. 4th graders stand up to hate.
We don't care if they want to be hating us. We will love ourselves.
Erasing vandalism with their message. Then, your good news.
We're going to be married 50 years this year, and we're going to Aruba for the weekend.
Can't take you to Aruba, but we can go to the Western Slope next. You really have to be some kind of trash human to burn a swastika onto a kid's playground, but that's what happened last month at Ellis Elementary in Denver. Police have still not found the 6 guys seen on the surveillance video. Today, students there learned how they can respond to hate, and our Lori Lizarraga was there.
This school is Ellis Elementary School.
Students at Ellis are wise beyond their years.
We have a lot of diversity here.
And diverse.
My mom and my dad and my 2 brothers are from Congo.
I'm from Mexico, and I'm proud about it.
They are incredibly diverse.
I have lots of friends from different places.
Mexican, African, Indian, Asian. So many.
So last month,
someone did graffiti in our playground.
When vandals used gasoline to burn a swastika,
a hate symbol,
into the basketball court on the playground,
especially like where there's little kids.
School leaders responded by protecting their students.
We can't be by there because it's bad for us.
They informed them about what happened.
I felt kind of mad, sad.
It made me upset. It made some of my friends upset.
And now,
it made me feel unsafe a little bit and kind of sad.
They're letting students respond.
We want to show the person that did that there's different people here, like from different cultures, and they speak different languages, and we're proud about that.
And from the hands and mouths of children.
I have learned from this. Think before you act.
A colorful response.
Think about what's gonna, the affection that's gonna have on other people.
And incredible wisdom.
We don't care if they want to be hating us.
For next,
we will love ourselves.
I'm Lori Lizarraga.
All right, here we go. As promised, the most Colorado thing we've seen today. Summer break looking like winter. Shannon Valcana's sons on their last day of school up in Georgetown with their winter coats and hats and everything. Stephen, George, and Jackson, hang on, little buddy. Summer's coming, I promise you. Share the most Colorado thing you've seen using the hashtag HeyNext or email next@9news.com. We are going to get out to a beautiful spot in our state, one that might inspire you to take a trip this weekend. We went there for your good news. Next. Good news for those of you who don't get out to Colorado's Western Slope very often. Auren Herbst took her camera to Rifle Falls State Park with our favorite question: what's your good news?
Good news overflows.
How can you miss?
When you live near a place like this.
I'm Inez. This is my dog Lucy, who's an Anatolian Shepherd. I'm Mary. This is my dog Rosie and my gentleman dog Scruffy. They are Labradoodles. It's spring and it's green, and I just moved here 3 years ago and immediately was welcomed in by a group of women hikers.
That's great news. What else?
Being retired. I'm a retired teacher, and what's exciting is I am not involved in the wildness of the last week of school. And we enjoy getting together and hiking out in our beautiful backyard. We don't have to travel very far for this.
My name is Russ, R-U-S-S.
But what if you just flew in from Jersey?
The plane landed in a rainstorm, and it landed. I was very happy about that. Well, we came to see the sights of Colorado. And everything we've seen so far is beautiful.
Even more beautiful is this good news.
Yes, we're going to be married 50 years this year. Come on, we've been on the news many times. Remember when I went to jail? Come on. "50 years, 50 years. There you go.
I'm sorry, that took a twist, did it not? I'm sorry, it took a real twist. Julie says, thanks for the great story from Ellis Elementary School. The voices of those young kids gives you hope. And then Andrew says, that agate graduate, the one guy, must have had a lonely prom. That's terrible. It's funny, though, but it's terrible. I'll see you next time.